Welcome everybody. I'm here to talk about planning a municipal wayfinding system. My name's Adam Fine. I'm a planner at Fathom Studio. We're a consultancy based in foggy Halifax, Nova Scotia in Canada, and I care deeply about signs. I think you should avoid telling my wife that I have almost as many photos of signs as I have of my child. I'm very interested in presenting information in public spaces and how signs work. I think it's also important that you know that I'm not a graphic designer, I'm a planner. I'm very lucky that I have a great team in my office, and I work with graphic designers who are able to pull all of the visual elements together to make wayfinding signs, all kinds of different experiential graphic designs look great, all the typographic considerations, combinations of color. My interest is more on the wayfinding systems working well, that they are functional, that they're legible. We do a lot of development of policies and criteria for wayfinding systems for municipalities. So here are the things we're going to go through in the course. I'm going to talk about a scenario and a little bit about the potential users of the wayfinding system. I'm going to get into some of the main elements of wayfinding, so all of the different considerations from the environment in which people are viewing signs, the paths, the place names, the pre-trip information, all the different things other than signs that also play into a mental map of a place. We're going to talk about the wayfinding environments themselves and all the different places in which wayfinding actually might play a part and help folks. We'll talk about sympathy for the user, and I want you to get into the zone where you're able to consider the user's needs rather than your own. You may have a question which is about analog signs in a digital age. Why are we still installing expensive signs in our environments when a lot of people are just looking down at their phones and they use their phones to navigate public spaces? There are a couple pretty good reasons why we still want to install signs and why we still think it's important. We'll talk about brand considerations and how municipal brands or a building's brand may play a part in signage and some of the reasons why you might want to brand heavily or less heavily. We'll talk about the consistency of signs. I'll get into accessibility and universality. This is a very important idea about ensuring that your signs are usable by as many people as possible. I'm going to give you a sign typology. So these are some standard sign types that you might see out in public environments. So you have a starting point for what kinds of signs that you might want to include in your sign system. And then I'll close with some of those key ideas and bring it back, and I'll give you a couple other resources that you can use if you want to learn more. I'm going to show you a couple of examples. This first one is in downtown Toronto. This is a very common sign type. We call these fingerboard signs. They're pointing in all different directions and giving people destinations and places they might want to get to. This specific sign at the top has destinations that are neighborhoods. There might be important tourism districts or retail districts. This sign also has spots for major destinations and transit stations like St. Patrick's Station and Dundas Station, which are subway stations in Toronto. This particular sign has a nice feature, which is the walking time between the sign and the destination that it's sending you to. Here's an interior sign that we designed for a place in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. This is a major municipal building called Alderney Landing, and it comprises a bunch of municipal offices. There's a major weekly farmers market. There's a public theater there and a ferry terminal. So a lot of people are coming through this every day. It's a major transit terminal and people need to move through the building. The building is also very complex, so the wayfinding needs to improve their journeys through this space and try and make it as easy as possible. So you can see how simple this sign is. It doesn't present a lot of information, doesn't present a million choices, but communicates things clearly. Now, some bad examples. These are things that we've tried to improve. This is a major wayfinding directional sign. You see it when you get down the hill into a place. This is a town in New Brunswick. You're presented with quite a few different choices. This is the most overwhelming sign, and it really doesn't work very well. This is a sign that's at a T intersection. So as you come down a hill into the town, you're presented with so many different choices about which way to go, and cars are building up behind you as you're reading the sign trying to figure out where to go. Some of them even provide two different arrows, which is really quite confusing. So this is the kind of sign that we think we'll try to simplify. And then this kind of thing, which is a temporary sign within a ferry terminal in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. This sign is really unclear. There's a lot of odd visual stuff because the arrow was made out of construction tape. It points downwards, which is confusing. It's on a door, but it's not clear because there's an arrow there about whether you're supposed to go down a staircase or you're supposed to go through the door. The door itself looks like it's a temporary place and maybe it's not for the public. So this sign presents a very unclear case. So we're going to get into how to improve these signs, how to make a wayfinding system that presents a more welcoming and more clear picture for people as they're building mental maps and moving through the public spaces that you're in charge of.